Good morning, welcome back to another video. I thought I could film a what I eat in a day video today. Just made my glutamine water, which tastes like nothing, but basically been making sure I have a full glass of water before I even think about coffee. So this is best on an empty stomach as well, and really helps with digestion, by the way. And then I've just taken my morning vitamins, no particular reason, but I just find taking a lot of vitamins at once feels like a lot, so I kind of split it into my morning stack. So I just took my mannitol, some CoQ10, which is for supporting heart function, and then vitamin D3. But just going to do a little bit of journaling and then let's make breakfast. Okay, so this is what I eat in a lean building phase, which means I'm trying to increase my lean muscle tissue in a calorie surplus. So I am seeing the scale increase. I've done 1 week on my new calories and macros, which I can talk a little bit more on how I kind of do a building phase and how I keep the body fat gain to a minimum. It's easy to associate when you're trying to gain weight that you immediately think, oh my God, am I just getting fat each week, when it is so not the case. And especially when you're in a smaller surplus, your body composition isn't going to be as kind of compromised. It's usually when you enter a big surplus that you get the excess fat gain, because at the end of the day, we can only put on a certain amount of muscle in each week. So there's no point doing these huge surpluses where you're predominantly just putting on body fat rather than actual muscle tissue, which is why people quit so soon, because they go into it with a skewed mindset. So I'll share more on that, but let's make breakfast. You already know what is coming up, which is my brownie batter chocolate oats, which are just sensational. I keep a lot of my foods the same, just different kind of quantities when it comes to a building phase or a fat loss phase or just general, because I flipping love my food. And that's one thing, you should make sure you actually really enjoy your foods, and then you can just add more volume, slightly less volume. In a building phase, because I've got more calories, I generally just add a bit more things like sauces, a little bit more fun foods, because I have more calories basically than I would in a fat loss phase. And the oats have had an upgrade. Long gone are the days of 40 grams of oats. I don't know where I thought those 40 grams of oats were really going in the grand scheme of things, as in, that's not just going to keep you full for long enough, really. We've been averaging anywhere between 60 grams of oats to 80 grams of oats to get some good carbs in. And whenever I have like carbs, I always think about my training window, so making sure I've got enough carbs for that training session and kind of having that mindset for my lifts. So I use these instant oatmeals. They're just like a quick cooking one. I find that these are easier on my actual stomach than, say, your bigger rolled oats. We'll do 70 grams of oats and then a generous amount of cold water. This is what makes the consistency so good. Like, be generous. I think when you add only a little bit, I don't know, you just don't get that fluffy consistency. So my blueberries have had an upgrade to papaya, which is really good for your digestion actually, and dragon fruit. So that is almost cooking. I usually do add an egg white, but I've run out of eggs. This is the biggest dragon fruit I've ever seen. Look at the size of that. I also picked up, picked up an avocado yesterday. Look. Like, I thought this was big, and this is just the size of my actual head. I'm really enjoying the fruit here. I don't even know which way to slice this. Get these out. And then that is the consistency. I am adding in some new concoctions, so creatine, which has changed my strength gains, and I've spoken about this quite a bit, but it's one of the best things, best supplements for strength. And there's also new studies on even brain health, so definitely make sure you're taking that. You'll really notice a difference with your training. You might notice a little bit of like feeling a bit more watery when you first start taking it, but your body quickly adapts. Chocolate protein, between 23 and 25 grams. And I use a vegan protein as I just find it easier on my stomach. I don't get as much acne. I just find whey quite hard. And then I've been adding in a teaspoon of yellow maca root powder. Make sure you keep things like that in an actual jar so it's sealed. So not only does maca taste flipping gorgeous, but it's really good for supporting your hormone health. And there's been a lot of human studies that have found maca can help balance hormones and also during PMS. So if you suffer with a lot of like PMS kind of symptoms, I'd really recommend adding in maca root to things like your smoothies. Of course, it's not going to like fix everything, but like I say, support. And if you've ever got any hormone imbalances, like it's a great adaptogen to add into things. And oh my God, it just tastes, I really like the taste of it. It smells a bit like popcorn, but it goes so well with chocolate flavour. And if you're ever wondering, like creatine doesn't taste of anything. If there was probably 2 supplements that I couldn't live without, it'd be creatine and protein for sure. And then my usual peanut butter and this dark chocolate, which I'm just gonna have to stock up on, called Walker's Chocolate. It is barley cream and brown sugar, 72% dark chocolate, and it's sensational. It tastes like really unique, like I've never tasted one like it. Okay, and that is breakfast, so brownie batter oats. Okay, so let's get into this lower body session. So start off with back extensions. This is one of my favourite glute exercises ever, and what I do is program my workouts around like weak parts or starting with the exercise that I really want to work on most. So for me, my glutes is a big focus, and I find exercises like this I have to really spend a little bit more time on just making sure I've got that mind to muscle connection and then loading up the weights. A little tip for this one is to imagine that you're a cat in the way that you round your spine, and really think about pulling up through your actual glutes and making sure your setup is that your hip bone is on the pad if you can maneuver the machine, and you'll just really feel this way more. Then I moved into some hamstring curls. This machine is insane, as in I really feel the stretch on this one, and I've recently joined a new gym and it's just leveled up my training so much. And then got into leg press, and again, just make sure you've got the setup right, because obviously we've all got totally different leg lengths, different everything, so you want to really position it right. Like, and honestly, these small tweaks just go such a long way with your actual training and the quality of your session. I've been really making sure I'm putting enough weight on with these, because I've now got more carbs, so I have way more energy, which means that I can actually push more in my sessions. And another reason why not to be scared of increasing your food, because in turn the quality of your reps and your whole workout performance is going to also skyrocket. And then went into some leg extensions, and again, just making sure I'm really pushing in every single one of my sessions recently and taking full advantage of just how good I've been feeling. So I did 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps here. And then I moved into some kickbacks. I thought I'd just mix things up. I do usually use the cable machine, which, to be honest, I think I will go back to, just because I think you can sort of feel it where you're wanting to target more so than when you're in, say, a fixed position. But I do really like this machine, and it's always fun to just try new things as well when you are training, and just mix things up if it's the same movement pattern, for example, and just see what you personally feel best. So this session is part of the lower body training that I've built into the Lean Aligned Blueprint, which is dropping on June the 16th. And I made this program because so many women I work with are either overtraining or under-eating or doing random workouts without seeing any real change. And as you know, I've been there too, doing so much and just feeling stuck, not knowing if I should be eating more, eating less, pushing harder, or supposedly resting more. That's why I built 2 tracks into one, so you can choose to go into either a fat loss block or focus on lean muscle and shape with actual structure and progression. Either way, this is the exact style of training I use to build strength, support my hormones, and actually change my body without burning out. So if you're really feeling like your body's just not reflecting the effort, this is your next step. Lean Aligned Blueprint drops June 16th, and I'll leave all the info down below if you want to join. Okay, just finished my leg day, and whilst this was fresh on my mind, I kind of wanted to just talk a little bit about carb intake and how important carbohydrates are for your performance in your actual gym training, and kind of why not to limit them if you're feeling like you're not progressing, as in you're not managing to get stronger and you're finding that you're going really flat in your training sessions. And you'll know this, and it is about getting honest with yourself. Like, you can tell yourself, oh yeah, I'm kind of progressing, but if you're really just feeling tired in your gym sessions, this could just be a quick fix, and it's not something to be scared of, because in turn you're going to be able to train harder by increasing your carbs, so get way more out of your actual session, be able to put on lean tissue and also just work on your metabolism as well and your health. You're also going to be able to sleep so much better. And this is something that I held myself back with very many times over the years, but carbs are your body's preferred energy source. Anyone training very hard, any athlete usually has a, higher carb intake. So I time my meals like this, and this has been really important since I've increased my carbs as well. So if you're having something like that oat bowl I've made this morning, which has got a mix of healthy fats from the peanut butter and dark chocolate, as well as fast digesting carbs like fruit, and then more complex carb from the oats. So that is something that I'll have a couple hours, an hour or so before training, so that it's not sat on my stomach. So if you have that and then you train within 50 minutes, like no doubt that it's going to still be in your actual stomach. You want it to be in your bloodstream so that you've got the most energy. Whereas if you want something 10 minutes before training, something a bit more easy to digest is better, which is why you see athletes before like a training game, they'll have like Gatorade or like a banana sort of thing if you're wanting to, something that gets into your bloodstream quicker. And then what I've really changed is my post-workout nutrition, because I was someone who I wouldn't eat straight away and I wouldn't always prioritize carbs in my post-workout, and it's helped so much with my energy throughout the day, because what I'd find is I'd have my breakfast, go and train, and then I'd kind of be a bit tired throughout the day, and it was simply because I just wasn't prioritizing carbs post-workout. So making sure I'm a bit more speedy with eating after training as well, and it just really helps with your recovery and whatnot. I'm gonna make a beef bowl, sweet potato, some veggies, and what I like to do is put this in the air fryer and then shower, and it's finished by the time, so we're optimizing time as well. I feel like I started the beef bowl trend. I'm joking, but honestly, I've been making these, if you go back on my YouTube, for years, and people used to make fun of my like beef bowls, with my sweet potato and cottage cheese, and now I feel like I've seen them everywhere, and there's a reason why I've like repeated these for years. So 170 grams of sweet potato, slide into the air fryer, and then spritz them with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. I don't have any left, so I'm just going to use maybe a bit of water or something, improvise, and then a little bit of oregano seasonings, and then into the air fryer. So 30 minutes. Some mushrooms. And then once the sweet potatoes are about halfway is when I will add the veggies in kind of like the other half. And then I take my beef mince. So this is just like a prime top side beef. So 150 grams, which I just weigh out. I weigh the raw weight. Wow, that is like bang on what I had left. Oh. That is so satisfying. Okay, that was not right. There was something underneath my scales, and then I'm just seasoning my beef with some Cajun seasoning, and then that takes about 10-15 minutes in the air fryer. Okay, so at this time of day, I always have either a yogurt bowl or some sort of smoothie. So I'm going to make my creamy papaya and ginger protein smoothie. This is also really good for any kind of bloating, like any bloating. Ginger is amazing for, and any inflammation. And papaya is really good. It's really great for just getting your digestive enzymes working. It's got papain in, I believe. 100 grams of papaya. You could also use just any fruit that you've got in. Like, never feel like, oh, if I don't have this, I can't make a certain recipe. Like, this would also work really nice with blueberries as well. Perfect. And then 1 scoop of protein powder, so about 30 grams. A tablespoon of peanut butter. 27 grams of peanut butter. Don't be scared of peanut butter as well. It's a really good healthy fat. And what I try and do is if I'm increasing my calories and don't want like loads and loads of volume, if I'm finding it hard to digest, so things like healthy fats like nut butter I find super useful. And then about 1 centimetre of ginger. If you like it extra spicy, you can do a little bit more. I like mine with a bit of a kick, but I know not everyone likes that. And then Greek yogurt. So I haven't been able to get any fat-free Greek yogurt, and I could go through a tub of these a day, and this one has got some fat in, which actually tastes really good, like I've been enjoying that. So 100 grams or so of yogurt, and then just a dash of water. If you want it a little bit creamier, you could add a little bit of banana as well. Make sure the lid is on. The amount of time whizzed a blender up and it's just gone over the whole kitchen. And then I've just sprinkled some cinnamon on the top. And I feel like smoothies just taste nicer with a straw, so that is mandatory. I was gonna say let's taste test. I have already tried it. This is so nice, and if you can't find papaya in your supermarket, generally they have it in the frozen section, so it's worth having a look to find it. Tag me if you give this one a try. Okay, so let me talk you through my gaining phase and also what you could also do if you're wanting to enter one of these. So basically, as you most probably know, I did a bodybuilding competition. I did 2 at the back end of last year, and the last competition I did, I lost way more body fat than I realised in kind of areas that I didn't think too much of. I was basically losing a lot more body fat around my glutes to try and get what they call a hamstring tie-in. I didn't realise actually how much body fat I had in that specific area, and probably not enough muscle at the end of the day. It's taken a lot of time to build back muscle and tissue, and I always think I lost more muscle than I realised in my deficit phase. Obviously it was an extreme dieting, thing for a bodybuilding show, so learnt a lot. Also in the gaining phase, so gained between 4 and 5 kg, and I still feel like I've got more to gain, as in to get my glutes into a good position and to also just be able to progress with my lifts, progress with my strengths. This is why I'm entering another gaining phase, which I'm excited about. So how I approach this is give myself a bit of a time frame. It can be quite scary to actually commit to, and I do think you need to build a good routine where you can properly commit to training over that period of time and also be consistent with your macros. Like, it takes work to put on actual muscle, way more than we realise, and I honestly think a gaining phase is way harder than losing fat. And always think with, like the mindset shift part of all this is you can always lose fat. It's harder to put on muscle, and don't think like you're going to put on, like excess body fat, especially if you do it with strategy and plan in place and a good rate of gain over that period of time, with anywhere between 0.2 to 0.3 each week. And the first few weeks are kind of like teething weeks where you're just figuring out your new macros and calories, and obviously your body is adjusting. So like my first week I gained 0.6 kg. A lot of that, it's not true weight gain. It can be food volume, where you are in your cycle, so don't panic at first, but it generally levels off after a few weeks. So it's just like trusting the process as well. That's so important. My kind of goal with this is to turn myself into an efficient calorie burning machine, as in just to be able to work on my metabolism, build more lean tissue. And I feel like I sat at maintenance for a little bit and kind of in my comfort zone, whereas I want to build muscle. And if you want to build a lot of muscle, you need to be in a surplus. Like, you can obviously make amazing progress around kind of maintenance, but it's not going to be as sort of quick and as big drastic changes as being in a surplus. What I've done with my training is I've actually dropped my volume down to 4 training sessions, and already I feel so much better. Like, I'm being able to recover better, and this is why it's so unique with your training. Like, you might be able to train 5 days a week in a surplus and feel really, really good. Knowing your own body, like, don't try to compare to anyone else. I know I can get way more out of my training sessions, usually in 4 gym sessions, than I can that 5th session of the week. I sometimes find it just a little bit half kind of not great, whereas I'd rather just add a little bit more volume into my 4 gym training sessions and really be able to be intentional in those. And I've actually dropped my steps down from, I was around like between 11, 13, 14k steps on a daily basis, and I've dropped that down to 10k steps just to kind of help with my recovery and just not overdo it as well. Like, you need to also look at your life. Like, you don't always want to be in like a sprint mode and just be overdoing it every day. Like, steps take a lot of time if you're not someone who is active, as in like I'm sat at my desk a lot of the time, or I'm filming, so I don't move as much, other than my gym sessions. So I have to be really like, I have to go out of my way to do my steps kind of thing. So that has been nice to reduce some time and also just to help my body especially with recovering. And I kind of want to talk about the mindset part of all this, which is the most important thing, because I feel like with women specifically, it's quite like it's a scary thing that a lot of women don't want to commit to, gaining weight. And the minute you see that scale shift, like I feel like a lot of women just panic. And I think when you can start looking at your beliefs, like a lot of them are probably outdated and beliefs of your 15, 16, 18-year-old self, and you think how much you've come on since those days. And if you're still believing things that aren't even logical, as in around weight gain, like fat can always be lost. The minute you always think like, is that what I'm actually scared of? When you're not going to put on heaps of fat in a short period of time unless you're in a huge surplus. Whereas if you're strategic, just like you would be in your fat loss phase, in a gaining phase, it's just not going to be like that. If anything, you might even prefer your body composition. You're going to be able to put on lean tissue, feel so much better, sleep so much better. And it just starts with readjusting your mindset. And I know that can be the hardest part, but it is like, right, sort of looking at your beliefs, and you might think, God, I've not even thought, like, where's this coming from? And if it's coming from anyone else, make sure your physique, your goals are not an open conversation to have with anyone else other than you. At the end of the day, you're the person that lives in your body day to day. You train in your body. Like, it's not something that isn't like needs to be an open discussion with anyone else. And also, you don't need someone else's projections, especially if someone else has got body image problems and possibly even just very negative, potentially disordered, like warped views, and they're projecting onto you, making you question yourself. And you just need to really know like where your self-worth is, and making sure that it's not coming from a certain, you know, like being a certain weight and fixating on something that just, you know, isn't sustainable. So yeah, that's currently where I'm up to with things. And then what I'll do is just adjust my calories depending on my rate of gain over that time. And yeah, just go from there. Okay, for dinner, I'm gonna make like a salmon poke bowl. So I'm fancying like a curry seasoning. So just gonna pop this salmon fillet in the air fryer. So I'm gonna make a kind of like a pokey style bowl. So we've got some edamame, some cooked rice, some pickled cabbage. I got some of these, which is just like a roasted seaweed type thing. And then some cucumbers and a fried salmon. There is dinner. So I'm gonna put some sweet chili sauce, I think, on this. And these seaweed things are so nice, but we've got a mixture of healthy fats, some edamame, some sticky white rice. I love jasmine rice, and then red cabbage and some crunch. And I'm really liking salmon at the moment.
If you have been feeling a bit stuck and just not quite sure how to take things to the next level, this summer challenge is for you. I will help you with what to eat, how to train, and actually how to build shape in a way that feels really good. We start June 16th, links below. I would love to see you inside the Flowness Club.
So I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you got some recipe inspo. Quite simple, but delicious nevertheless. And can't wait to document more of this gaining phase and share more. If there's anything you would like to know more of, I can do a proper in detail video too. So pop that in the comments down below. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.